another YouTube video, and this one is about the Vikings as pictured here. You can see the Viking. You can see the Vikings in these pictures, and this is gonna be about. This video is gonna be about the Great Heathen Army. And you might be thinking, "Whoa, what do you mean by heathen?" Well, when I say heathen, that's just like back then it was just like, oh, a person who's just not Christian. So it's pretty much like all non-Europeans are heathens, pretty much. Yeah. So these Vikings, also just to clear some things up, let's just like go over some Viking history. Okay. So the Vikings, they're pretty cool. As you see in this picture, like it shows like, oh, he's got a helmet, he's got a chainmail, he's got this all crazy armors and stuff. Like in reality, they'd have this little spear right here, and then they'd have a shield. Sometimes they wouldn't even have that little the little metal piece. And just show you some of the culture. This is some let me show you some of their art. This is some pretty cool stuff. This is carved out of wood. Sorry for the uh watermark. I don't have money to pay them to give me the good images. But yeah, you see this, like that's kind of their art style. Let me see if I can open something else. Yeah, it's a cool thing that they got there. Yeah, pretty cool art. Okay, so the thing about Vikings and their helmets, they don't have the horns. It's not true. They actually this is the only surviving Viking helmet, and yeah, it's like they don't really wear those helmets really at all. It's just more of like the big old chiefs. Like they're like, I am the big old chief. I get the big helmet. And most of our information about the Vikings come from these things called sagas. Whoa! Sorry for the NSFW, guys. Okay, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Okay. Well, yeah, because like the people in Iceland, they were like, huh, we have nothing here to do. Let's just write about things that happened. So they made those. Vikings were really cool in their day because of the fact that they had these big old boats you see here. These are called Viking longships, and these boats, they're like some of the best in their day. Like they could sail wherever they want. Some of these the Vikings actually discovered America before Columbus ever did nothing. So yeah, they'd raid all over Europe. Okay, so the Great Heathen Army. There's this like so pretty much. There's this like English guy, and he's like, "Oh, I don't like this guy called Ragnar Lodbrok. I'm gonna throw him into a pit of snakes." And so that's what he did. He threw him into a pit of snakes, and yeah. There's a couple guys. His sons weren't happy, so they're like, "Hey, we need some Vikings to help us. Uh, Fellow Vikings, will you help us?" And so pictured here, I don't know exactly which guy. Just pick the coolest looking one, and that's probably him. But there's Ivar. Ivar the Boneless. He did actually have bones. It's just they weren't the best bones. Oh, just this was Ragnar Lodbrok sitting on that chair. I think that's an art of him, not an actual picture. Okay. But yeah, there's Ivar that I showed. There's Bjorn Ironside. There's Hvitzerk and Ubba. And so 4 of the 5 sons are like, yeah, let's go invade. Let's go invade the United Kingdom. And because they killed our dad, and that's what they did. They sailed in their boats. Oh, just this is like the Vikings would use spears and stuff, and a lot of them would use swords actually, because like a lot of Vikings got a lot of money. Swords are expensive, but a lot of Vikings had them because like raiding gave you a lot of money because they just stole all the money. So yeah, some of these Vikings the oh darn uh oh my goodness. Okay, I can't use this map. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, here's a good map. I guess it pretty much tells you everything that happens already. Not really. But, so these Vikings are like, oh, let's go get England. And so they sailed from Norway, which is kind of like over here, Denmark too. And they landed in this area called East Anglia. They landed there in 865. And the king there was like, oh, please don't hurt us. We'll give you horses. And, yeah, then the Vikings, they marched all over here to this little city called York. It's a pretty cool city. And they're like, oh, we have York. And this little place up here is called Northumbria. It's a pretty cool place. And then in 867, like they took a long time getting there, like 865 to 879. They were there for a while, you know. So in 867, after conquering Nork, they were like, oh, let's go to Mercia, which was like the main place, and they stayed in this place called Nottingham. And the Mercians were like, oh yeah, we'll allow you to be here a little bit. And then after going back to York, they stay there for a while and then decide, hey, let's kill East Anglia because we're Vikings. In they conquered it and killed its king. So yeah, East Anglia, Northumbria, they were the Vikings, pretty much. And when they came back to East Anglia, it was 869. In 871, 2 years later, the Vikings saw Wessex, and they're like, yes, that's the place we want to go. And the army marched towards London. Where Alfred the Great, Alfred was the king of Wessex, he paid the Vikings to leave. And then the Vikings just like stayed in London for the winter. And then the army went back to York to gather supplies. It's kind of complicated. I don't really understand it all that much. Okay, and then after going back to York, they're like, oh, let's kill everybody up here, you know? And so that's what they did. And so the Vikings, so I'll show you a picture of the battle, one of the battles that I got. So yeah, this is one of the battles. See, they got there's no, oh shoot, that's a problem. Oh, okay, so they got no horns on their, helmets. There's never horns. Yeah, the horns on helmets, that's not a thing the Vikings did. Okay, and back to the history. Don't save that. And so yeah, the Vikings, after they were done pillaging this area, it wasn't actually the whole northeastern area, it was this area, I lied. They wintered again. And after doing like all that, after campaigning around here after that winter, Mercia was dead, so the Vikings controlled all this. And the Vikings were like, huh, let's go to Wessex. That's the place that we haven't conquered yet. And they're like, oh, let's go down here. And Alfred the Great was the leader of this place at the time, and he was pretty good. He's called the Great. And yeah, he beat the Vikings in the Battle of Edington, which I don't see no Eddington down here. Yeah, that's strange. I don't see Eddington, but yeah. After that, the Vikings were like, "All right, we got most of England. I think we're pretty happy now." And they signed the treaty. The They signed a treaty of Eddington, and that meant the Vikings get all this area, and Wessex is allowed to exist. And yeah, best stormtroopers, that's the Viking history. If you want to see more videos, um, tell me. If you want to see more history videos, tell me. If you want to see more Viking history videos, tell me. If you don't want to see any videos, tell me. If you want me to go back to gaming, tell me. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, favorite, put this video in a popular playlist. Uh, Share it, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification buttons, and then click that you want notifications for all my videos. And that's it, best stormtroopers. I'm out. Goodbye. That's all. That's the Great Heathen Army. Oh wait, I forgot to mention. The Great Heathen Army, it was like 1,000. It was like around 1,000 Vikings. It wasn't that big. But they got reinforcements all the time, you know. That's all. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification, share all that. Goodbye. Bye.